Welcome to another Thursday's Gear Talk videos, you beautiful, beautiful people, you. Normally, if I was going to talk like how I do on the channel with the dailies, I'd probably say you beautiful bastards. But I've noticed that I'm more professional in these than I am with those, so take that with however you will. Anyway, today we've got another video. Today's video, I put up a poll, that ended up as a four-way tie between each subject matter I had. So, to break that one, I went by the first thing that was voted on, and that just so happened to be the D. Carmine video, which I've been waiting for because the D. Carmine video it excites me because that's a true mystery in the Gears franchise we have. We have some other ones, like Queen Mira and her relation to the Locust, with Kate and all that. We have those. But a lot of things that aren't answered or still haven't been answered yet. We have, like, D. Carmine. We have, at the very end of 3, Mira, when she gets stabbed by the knife and it's out and you see Marcus look at the knife for a moment, it's kind of orangish yellow on the tip of the blade. So I kind of want to talk about that later, like the whole is Rand a human or not. But we're not here for that one. We're here right now for D. Carmine. And I spell his name D-E-E instead of just D. Carmine, because I know when there were theories and discussions about him back in the days after 3, a lot of people threw around like, oh, maybe his name is D-E-E because it sounds more like a name. So his name would actually be D. Carmine. So the theory is, or the question is, or the topic is, who is he? Where is he? Is he still alive? What happened to him? And if he is dead, how did he go? And why is he never mentioned or tattooed onto Clayton's arm? So let's jump into that and see what we can figure out. So let's start off with what we do know. A lot of this information we really just get into because of the fact that Ben brings up, so you know, I don't know what that was. Oh, so you know, I have, it's 4 of us. We're 4 brothers, the 4 Carmine brothers. Well, there's 3 of us now, implying with Anthony dying, that just leaves him, Clayton, and whoever D is. Now, when we were first told this, we had no clue who even Clayton was. We didn't know. We knew about Anthony and Ben. We didn't know that Clayton was a thing. We didn't even know D was a thing. And we only assume his name is D because of the naming scheme that the Carmines get. Anthony is A, Benjamin is B, Clayton is C, so D Carmine is how we would guess it is. Also with D, he's never mentioned in any of the extended stuff. He's not mentioned in books or comics. Even Clayton, at the very end of the last book leading up to 3, so he's not in the slab, he's in the one before that, Coalition's End, he's mentioned only like 3 sentences at the very end of the book. That's the only intro. That's our intro to Clay. And it only talks about how much he loves bacon and he won't stop staring at the pigs. That's all we get. That's all we get for Clayton. That's his introduction. And obviously in 3 we get him. And I love Clayton. If you saw my list, you know that Clayton he's up there quite a bit. So what we do know about D is that he definitely isn't the youngest of the 4 Carmine brothers. We know that Ben is the youngest, and when it comes to the 4 of them, I believe it might have been stated that Clayton was the oldest, but I don't remember seeing that anywhere. I think they just said he was either older than just Ben, or he was the oldest. I can't really remember. So just to be safe, I'm going to say he's not the oldest, because the naming scheme, I'd say, well, no, that wouldn't make sense, because B comes after A, so in technicality, Anthony will be younger. We do know Anthony's in the middle somewhere, and I'm guessing him and D, that's going to be the toss-up. We also know up until 2, he would be alive, because when Ben says, oh, there's 4 of us, well, 3 of us now, it can be assumed that that means that D is still alive by 2. Now, we don't know the full situation, if they're in a strange family and they don't know where he is. We don't know even if maybe he did die like a day before Ben said that, but it's because of the fact that it would take some time to get the info to Ben, and because of all the events happening in 2, Ben just wouldn't have known his brother was already dead. But I'm going to take it at face value and say that by 2, that D is still alive somewhere doing something. So let's go on to some theories that I've heard or I've looked into or that I personally believe and subscribe to. So the first one is that he is alive somewhere. He did make it to the end of 3, and that he's still doing something. We don't know what. We don't know if he's with the coalition, if he's an outsider. We have no clue. But what we can assume, and this is something I kind of believe in, it's going to be one of the 2, is that either him or Clay were the father of Gary. Now, I think it might have been D, because, well, it could have been Clayton too, because Clayton really seems like he'd fit in with the outsiders pretty well. but it could have been Dee's kid too. We don't really know anything about Gary, and Gary's probably the one Carmine we know the least about. Well, no, Fredo's probably the least, or at least they're on the same level. But that's the issue. We don't really know anything more from Gary. And I do believe Gary's dead, so I don't think we're going to get any more information. So the only people that would know the current situation about Dee could possibly be Clay, and we don't know what's going on with him. Gary, but Gary's dead, and Ben would somewhat know, but Ben's dead also. Anthony could have known, but we already know by 2 he's dead. So unless Marcus would have known the rest of the gears, because there weren't that many by the end of the Locust-Lambent human war, I don't think anyone else is going to know what's going on with him. So if he's alive, he could be the father of Gary, but we just don't know. And now for the 2 dead theories that are going on, because if you're a fan of the Carmines, you're a fan of them dying. The first one is that he did die during the main franchise, but he was like a background-ish death and no one really paid attention. And a lot of people are guessing he died at the end of 2. I would prefer more if I thought he died in the middle of 3 somewhere. And it's because of the tattoo that Clayton has is why people kind of go against this. And this is why I go against it too. Because he has Anthony and Ben on his arm. He doesn't have anything about Dee. I mean, like, unless he's got like a tramp stamp or something like that, and we just don't see it. I don't know. But we don't know anything about Dee. That's the problem. And if we would have gotten like a marking on his arm or something that referenced Dee, I'd believe it more. But there's nothing there. So I don't believe he died at the end of 2. If he died in the middle of 3, that would make more sense, because with all the events going on, unless they did it at like Anvil Gate, I don't think Sam had the time to just sit there and be like, okay, Clay, let's start etching this into your arm and see what happens, and we'll get good old Dee in there. So I don't think he died, and even if he did, this leads into another theory, is that they're an estranged family. Like, Dee did something and went off on his own, and it's not that he doesn't have it tattooed anywhere because he's still alive. It's because they don't know where he is and not what he's doing. Some of the ideas I saw are like he's stranded, which I could believe that one, that Dee's actually stranded, but I think Ben said that all 4 of the brothers were enlisted, so I think it would be nice if he was stranded, because we don't really get that aspect in the story too much of characters who were Gears that became stranded or outsiders, aside from Oscar, and we don't know that much about Oscar's past, so we can't go off of that. The next one I have is kind of a funny one, and this was more of a joke, but I mean, would you really believe anything else? I mean, this one goes that Dee is dead, and the reason he died is because he had too much cholesterol intake at one point, and that pretty much offed him. He died of too much cholesterol, and the reason that Clay always wants to eat bacon or staring at pigs because he wants constant revenge for his brother by eating and killing pigs. So I'm not believing that one in a serious aspect, but sure, why not? I mean, it would make sense why the guy's obsessed with bacon so much. Just to avenge his brother. I'm killing the Locust because they killed 2 of them. I'm killing pigs because they killed the other. And he doesn't have a tattoo because of the fact that he just, he doesn't keep him in memory because pigs aren't going to be going anywhere. As far as we know, they're still around in the Gears universe up till now. So he just spends the rest of his life just killing pigs. And his goal is him personally to just be the pig killer. The grub killer / pig killer. Clayton Carmine the Almighty. So the last theory that there is that I found is an intriguing one, but I don't think it holds water with the information we got at the end of 3 and going forward. So this one states that Dizzy is the 4th Carmine brother. Now, it goes that Dizzy left the family under bad circumstances, and it just so happened that when he found his wife that he married, he took her name to hide that he was a Carmine, so he pretty much couldn't be found by the rest of them. So he did this, and then, obviously he married and there's a stepson, so he would have still kept the mother's name. There wouldn't have been any argument over him carrying a different last name. And they lived together, and then when they died, he kept Wallen. And then as he went on with his next wife, I think that she was stranded, but I think she also took the Wallen name, I believe. So Wallen isn't his actual last name, it's Carmine. And when he meets up with his brothers again all these years later, or at least what I assume are his brothers, because we'll get into that in a second, they don't recognize him because he's been gone for so long and he looks different and he's already gone through all these different steps and routines. The problem with that is that when Dizzy married, there was already a kid and everything in the picture, and he was already aged up to what the Carmines pretty much are at right now. In fact, probably a little older by the time he first married. So after that, when they died, he went on just to do his own thing, and probably went back into drinking it. Well, he did go back into drinking again. He is a severe alcoholic, and that is a problem. But aside from that, they go into his story a lot more about all the things he did and how he was living. And then we skip to 2, and we meet Dizzy firsthand in the games. Dizzy is in his 50s, so I very much don't believe he's one of the brothers. The age doesn't match. Also, you would have thought that even Clay would have been like, oh, you're my brother, I recognize you, because they spend time together. There's not that many gears left. Where are they going to run off to where Dizzy can be like, oh, I got to go do this, just don't let Clay see me. So I do believe Dizzy is not the 4th brother. I mean, if he was younger, I would kind of see that a little better, but if Clay's not going to say anything, if Ben's not going to say anything, if he's running around and he has this huge backstory already filled out, I don't believe that D would be the 4th Carmine. I think it'd be awesome. Both of them, him and Clay, are my 2 favorite characters, but it just doesn't sync up in the end. Finishing up this video, pretty much just going through ideas and everything, the theories that are there, the information we have and what we don't have. I believe that D is still alive. I think he would have made it out because I'm going to take things at face value. I think the tattoo that Clay has, he would have had his 3rd brother on there. I think it would have been cemented somewhere on his body that, like, hey, D was around, but he's dead now. But that's another thing to get into. Even though he might still be alive, I don't think we're ever going to see him. I would love to, and in Gears 3, they had a perfect opportunity in multiplayer. That would have solved a lot of questions right there, and it would have been put to rest. But I don't think we're going to get anything from D. I don't think he's ever going to be mentioned. I think the Coalition has gone in their own path, and they've gone past D now. Because when Karen Travis, she wrote 3, she said that she never played the games, and that was so she had a fresh outlook on the characters when she made them. And she obviously got information from the games, but she never played them. So I believe that she just left D out, because maybe she didn't hear the line that Ben gave. Sorry, there's so many Carmines. I got to remember which is which I'm talking about. So I think maybe he just was forgotten about, or they didn't have time to get to him. If they ended up putting him in 5, I'd really love it, but I don't see it happening. I think Gary would have been the strongest lead we had to figuring out who his father was and who D was. But with Gary, assumably, I believe dead for good, I do not think we're going to get more information on D. And if we ever get anything on him, it's going to be either slim or they're just going to say screw it and put him as a multiplayer character. And that's going to do it for me this week. Like, comment, subscribe the video. E3's coming up in a few months. So I'm going to try and get as many of these videos as I can in before E3 arrives. Because when E3 comes around, there's going to be a lot of theory videos for the new stuff, reactions for the trailer. Because you know I'm going to put the reactions for gameplay and trailers like that. There's going to be theories, reviews, all of that stuff. And probably if they have more stuff on tactics they let out, I'll talk about that more. So up until E3, I'm going to try and push out all of these other videos for this stuff. So you guys have a great one. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. I'll try and get more of these out the quickest I can, but again, these are every Thursday, so I'll try and put interesting topics in the polls. So when you vote on those, be sure to make sure you get your voice heard on that. If you're the first one in, you know, I might just pick yours if it's another tie for the top ones. So, again, 3rd time, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, all that stuff. I'm rambling again. That's what I'm good at. You guys have a great one. Gear Talks out.